does a $28 million indie movie about a wedding completely humiliate a $500 million CGI blockbuster at the global box office?
Right, it's wild.
And why is a beautifully crafted pixel art game actively melting down next-gen consoles? Pull up a chair to our cafe table. You're listening to Casutalks.
Grab your coffees, everyone.
Yeah, grab those coffees, because today's deep dive is just a massive pop culture news dump. We are breaking down record-shattering indie films, giant mech Hollywood adaptations, gaming triumphs, some very disastrous hardware launches, and like a tectonic shift in the tabletop trading card world.
Yeah, it is a wild menu today, seriously. There is so much moving and shaking across every single corner of entertainment right now.
Oh, absolutely.
But what's really fascinating is that underneath all these separate stories, there's a very specific pattern emerging. Like a pattern about how the industry is trying to sell us our own memories.
Oh, I love a good pattern. But before we get to the grand unified theory of pop culture, let's just jump right into the deep end. Take a sip of that espresso, you guys, because we have to start with the movie that is currently defying literally all Hollywood logic right now. I'm talking about A24's The Drama.
Defying logic is putting it mildly. I mean, this film is an absolute phenomenon.
Right. I mean, we have Zendaya playing Emma. We have Robert Pattinson playing Charlie. It's directed by Christopher Borgley. And here's the kicker. It cost just $28 million to make, which, you know, in modern Hollywood terms, where studios are routinely dropping $250 million on superhero movies, $28 million is practically pocket change.
Oh, totally. It's nothing.
And yet, it has already crossed the $100 million mark globally. It is setting all-time opening records for A24 in the UK, France, Australia, Mexico. It is just an unstoppable juggernaut.
It really is. And what we really need to analyze here is the mechanics of why it's working so universally.
Right.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of Borgley's career, he is a director known for a very specific, cerebral, almost rug-pulling brand of surreal humor. The plot of The Drama seems so straightforward at first glance.
Oh, completely straightforward.
Yeah, you have this electrifying whirlwind courtship between Charlie and Emma. They are planning their wedding. The aesthetics are gorgeous. Everything is picture perfect. But then there is a single revelation from Emma's past.
Just one little thing.
Exactly, just one piece of information that completely irreversibly shatters Charlie's image of his perfect bride.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit, because I am going to push back a little on the why here. Like, how is a $28 million indie romance competing with massive explosions every 5 seconds blockbusters?
It's a fair question.
Is it purely the undeniable star power? Because let's be real, you put Zendaya and Robert Pattinson on a movie poster, people are going to buy tickets just to look at them. Or is it that signature Borgley rug-pulling narrative you mentioned? Because to me, the marketing strategy feels almost weaponized. You buy a ticket thinking you're getting a sweet, charming rom-com for date night. And halfway through the popcorn, you realize you're actually trapped in a deeply tense psychological thriller.
That is exactly the genius of it, the total bait and switch.
Right.
But it's done so masterfully that the audience doesn't feel cheated. You know, they feel thrilled. Pattinson himself noted in a recent interview that the movie essentially explores how you can think you know someone intimately, and then they say literally one sentence, and suddenly the entire foundation of your reality has changed.
Wow.
You just can't unhear it.
It's brilliant. You sell the romance, but you deliver the trauma.
Exactly.
But, you know, while A24 is making $100 million on a $28 million budget with original, risky ideas, the rest of Hollywood is just terrified of risk.
Oh, completely terrified.
Their solution to making money right now: pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into giant pre-existing intellectual properties, which brings us to the massive live-action adaptations currently taking over the world.
They certainly are. The financial scale of these upcoming productions is staggering. Let's start with Gundam.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It is officially filming right now on the Gold Coast in Australia. Directed by Jim Mickle and starring Sydney Sweeney and Noah Centineo.
I just have to say, putting Sydney Sweeney and Noah Centineo in a giant robot anime adaptation is a completely wild pairing.
It's a wild pairing, for sure. But mathematically, it's a stroke of absolute demographic genius.
Wait, how so?
Think about it. You pull Sydney Sweeney's massive Gen Z audience, you pull Noah Centineo's dedicated rom-com fan base, and suddenly you are selling a heavy sci-fi mech suit anime to millions of people who have never watched a single day of anime in their entire lives.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They're playing rival mech pilots who are forced to team up. The chemistry is pre-engineered for box office success.
Okay, I see the vision now. I guess the maths. But let's talk about the logistics, because the sheer scale of building giant robots in real life is insane. Why are they filming on the Gold Coast?
It really comes down to the mechanics of modern film economics. Legendary Pictures has already injected over $328 million into Queensland's economy through their MonsterVerse films.
Right, the Godzilla and Kong stuff.
Exactly. They've built an entire infrastructure there. Now, Gundam is adding an estimated $110 million more to that region, employing hundreds of local cast and crew.
That's huge.
It's not just a movie, it's a massive industrial pipeline. They are utilizing massive sound stages and practical effect workshops that were literally built to house King Kong and Godzilla.
It's mind-blowing to think about the physical reality of these sets. The wire work, the massive practical mechanics, the specialized technicians required to make a giant metal suit look real on camera.
The artistry is incredible.
It really is. But, when we marvel at the magic on screen, we also have to address the human cost behind it. Which brings us to another massive live-action adaptation currently filming, How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Yes, they are currently filming the live-action sequel at Sky Studios' Elstree, with Mason Thames returning as Hiccup.
And we really need to take a very serious moment here, because the reality of building these incredible, tangible worlds is that it can be incredibly dangerous.
It can.
There was a severe accident on the set of How to Train Your Dragon 2 earlier this month. An unnamed special effects technician was handling a saw in a workshop and suffered a gruesome injury, completely severing multiple fingers on one hand.
It is an absolute tragedy. According to the reports, the crew member underwent extensive surgery, but sadly, the severed digits were not able to be reattached.
Oh, that's just awful.
It really is. It's a stark, very sobering reminder of the real physical risks that the crews take every single day to create the entertainment we consume so casually.
It's heartbreaking. These technicians, these artists building the magic with their bare hands, they are the true unsung heroes of the industry. We are certainly keeping that crew member and their family in our thoughts.
Absolutely. The safety of the crew has to be the ultimate priority on any set, no matter how big the production or how tight the deadline.
Truly. It's a heavy reality check about the physical toll these massive practical sets demand. It really makes you appreciate the comparative safety of pure digital artistry.
It really does.
Which actually leads us perfectly into the 2D realm, because there are some major anime and art announcements dropping right now that we really need to get into.
There is a massive wave of fantastic news for anime fans, and it speaks volumes about what audiences are currently craving right now. First off, the Yona of the Dawn manga has officially exceeded 16 million copies worldwide.
Yes. Oh my gosh, finally.
And a sequel anime is currently in the works.
Fans have been waiting forever for that. But let's pause on that 16 million number for a second. In an industry largely dominated by high-octane shonen action series, a sweeping fantasy romance manga hitting 16 million copies is a massive statement.
It really is.
It proves there's a huge, hungry audience for character-driven legacy stories. What else is on the horizon?
Well, we also got confirmation that antiquarian bookshop Biblia's Case Files is getting a TV anime in 2027, produced by Cloverworks.
Nice.
And rounding out the news, the light novel series, The Diary of a Middle-Aged Sage's Carefree Life in Another World, is also getting an anime adaptation.
Okay, look at that lineup. You have a cozy mystery set in a secondhand bookstore and a story literally about a middle-aged guy just trying to live a stress-free life in a fantasy world.
I know, right?
It's pure escapism for tired adults. I absolutely love to hear it. The 2D space is thriving.
I think so.
But unfortunately, it is not all smooth sailing and perfect frame rates in the pixel art world. We have to talk about Replaced.
Yes. Replaced. A game that is currently breaking hearts and hardware.
I mean, this game has been in development for 8 long years. It is a gorgeous 2.5D retro cyberpunk pixel art platformer, and it just officially launched. The reviews for the PC and Xbox Series X versions are glowing.
They are.
It's sitting at an 81 on Metacritic right now, but if you bought it on the Xbox Series S, it is completely busted.
Yeah, busted might actually be too polite of a word for this situation. Players on the Series S are reporting a hard, game-breaking memory crash right at the transition between chapters 4 and 5 if you're playing a single session.
That is so bad.
And even if you get past that, the ending cinematics are completely broken.
It is beyond frustrating. I mean, you spend 8 years waiting for a game, and it literally breaks right before the finale. I have to ask you, why are studios still struggling so much with the Xbox Series S? This is a 2.5D pixel art game, not some massive 3D open world RPG with dragons.
That raises a really important technical question, and it all comes down to the architecture of the console's memory. Let's use an analogy here.
Okay, I love your analogies.
Imagine you are trying to pack for a month-long European vacation. The Xbox Series X is a massive hard-shell suitcase. The Series S is a standard school backpack.
Right.
Now, replaced might look like simple 2.5D pixel art, but it uses incredibly complex modern volumetric lighting, particle physics, and deep environmental layers. Those effects are like heavy winter coats.
Okay, I'm following you. So the game is trying to pack the coats.
Exactly. The game is constantly loading these effects into the console's memory buffer as you play. If you play in a long, single session, that backpack gets completely scuffed. That right at the transition between Chapter 4 and Chapter 5, the game tries to load a massive new set of visual assets. It tries to shove one more giant winter coat into a backpack that is already bursting at the seams.
So the backpack zipper bursts.
The zipper breaks, the system runs out of memory, and the game hard crashes. It highlights how the split memory architecture of that lower tier console is becoming a massive bottleneck for developers trying to push visual boundaries, even in the indie space.
That makes total sense. It's just a shame that a memory bottleneck is dominating the conversation around a game that independent developers poured nearly a decade of their lives into.
It's a huge bummer.
But while Replaced represents an ambitious game getting crushed by hardware, what happens when an ambitious game actually crosses the finish line flawlessly? Well, you make history.
You certainly do. And that brings us to the absolute triumph of Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
This is a historic moment for the industry.
It genuinely is. Clair Obscur just won the BAFTA for Best Game of 2025. It beat out massive heavy hitters like Ghost of Yotei and Indiana Jones.
Amazing.
And with that BAFTA win, it has officially become only the second game in the entire history of the industry, right after Baldur's Gate 3, to sweep all 5 major Game of the Year awards.
Wait, all 5?
All 5. The Golden Joysticks, the Game Awards, DICE, GDC, and now the BAFTAs. A complete, undeniable clean sweep. Plus, Jennifer English took home Best Performer for her phenomenal role as Manal.
Think about how wild that is. A brand new IP, a French turn-based RPG, comes in and completely dominates an industry usually obsessed with fast-paced action games.
It's completely unprecedented.
It proves definitively that players are starving for well-crafted, narrative-driven, single-player experiences. But speaking of narrative-driven experiences, let's talk about the massive leak that has the internet completely divided right now. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced.
Yes, the worst-kept secret over at Ubisoft is finally out in the open.
Finally.
A 1 minute and 8-second trailer leaked online just ahead of their official showcase. It confirms that it is a full ground-up remake of the 2013 classic pirate adventure.
And it looks good.
The character models look vastly improved, the lighting engine is completely overhauled, but the raging controversy isn't about what they added, it's about what they actively removed.
Right, they cut the multiplayer mode, they cut the modern-day office sections, and they removed the Freedom Cry DLC entirely.
They claim they are focusing purely on Edward Kenway's narrative.
And I really have to push back on this strategy. I mean, Yves Guillemot and the executives over there have to know this is a huge risk. Look, if you are listening right now, you're probably sitting there thinking, who cares about the modern-day office stuff in Assassin's Creed anyway?
Most people skip it.
Exactly. We all just want to sail ships and be pirates. And fair enough. But cutting the multiplayer, that ship-based hide-and-seek assassination multiplayer was completely unique to the franchise.
It was very niche, but very loved.
Yes. And removing Freedom Cry. Adewole's story is arguably one of the most crucial, emotionally resonant pieces of that entire era of the franchise. Are we losing the actual soul of the 2013 original just so we can get slightly better water reflections?
It is the ultimate remake dilemma, right? A studio wants to streamline the experience for modern, shorter attention spans, but by carving out those unique modes and vital expansions, you are essentially rewriting the legacy of the game.
Yeah, you're erasing it.
Ubisoft is publicly claiming they want to deliver a purely narrative adventure, but to your point, Freedom Cry was a massive integral part of that narrative universe. It feels very much like a corporate cost-cutting measure cleverly disguised as a creative choice.
Oh, 100%.
But we will have to see how they spin it at the full reveal. We also have more gaming news coming down the pipeline fast. We've got the ID at Xbox Showcase coming up on April 23rd.
Oh, that would be good.
Which will feature highly anticipated indie titles like Mistfall Hunter and Aphelion. Plus, For the divers out there, Helldivers 2 is dropping the Exo Experts Warbond, bringing in the massive Exo 51 Lumberer suit. So the digital battlefields are staying incredibly busy.
They're busy. But notice how video game studios are constantly repackaging the 2010s for profit right now? What's absolutely fascinating is that the tabletop world is doing the exact same thing, just with cardboard.
Oh, the tabletop community is buzzing right now. If you play physical card games, April 2026 is shaping up to be an absolutely massive month.
Huge. Let's break down the big 3 drops.
First up, Magic. The Gathering is dropping Secrets of Strixhaven on April 24th. This set is bringing heavy commander deck value and the highly requested return of Mystical Archive reprints.
People are going to scramble for those.
Oh yeah. Then, for the Yu-Gi-Oh players, we have the Rarity Collection V releasing on April 17th. This is a massive deal for the competitive meta because it's bringing heavy, accessible reprints of expensive tournament staples like Chaos Angel and Kashtira Fenrir. Plus, they are seeding these incredibly scarce one-of-one holographic variants to chase.
The chase cards are always going to drive the market crazy. It never fails. But the real earthquake, the thing that is completely shaking the foundations of the tabletop world right now, is Pokemon ME3, which stands for Mega Evolution 3. Because on April 10th, the standard format rotation officially happens.
Yep, the big rotation.
They are entirely removing the G regulation parks from competition.
Which is a monumental meta-defining shift.
It changes everything. Say goodbye to Gardevoir X, which has been gatekeeping the meta and frustrating players for years. And far more importantly, say goodbye to Iono.
A lot of players are cheering right now.
Oh my gosh, yes. If you've played recently, you know the absolute pain of setting up your perfect hand, only for your opponent to play Iono and completely ruin your hand size right before you strike. With those cards gone, the door is wide open, and there is a new king stepping up to the throne.
And that new king is Mega Lucario X. The underlying math on this new strategy is fascinating, so let's break down how the Aura Farm build actually works.
Do it.
Mega Lucario X has a staggering 340 HP. It evolves directly from Riolu. It is an absolute tank. It is almost mathematically impossible for most decks to one-shot it.
It's a wall, a giant, terrifying fighting type wall.
Exactly. But a wall needs an engine, and the engine running this deck is brilliant. Use the Soul Rock and Lunatone synergy. Lunatone has an ability called Lunar Cycle. This lets you discard a basic fighting energy from your hand to draw 3 new cards, as long as Soul Rock is also sitting on your bench. So, you are rapidly digging through your deck, finding the exact pieces you need, but, crucially, you are deliberately feeding the discard pile with energy.
Yes, because Mega Lucario's primary attack, Aura Jab, costs just 1 single fighting energy.
Exactly.
It does a solid 130 damage up front, but the secondary effect is the kicker. It lets you accelerate 3 basic fighting energies from your discard pile directly to your benched Pokemon, so you are hitting your opponent in the face while simultaneously loading up your next heavy attacker sitting safely on the bench.
And then comes the grand finale. When you are fully loaded and ready to close out the game, you use the attack Mega Brave. It hits for a massive base of 270 damage.
Which is a lot.
It is. But in the rapid April 2026 meta, 270 doesn't always cut it against top-tier, bulky threats like Dragapult X. So what do? You attach the maximum built ACE spec tool card to Lucario. That tool adds exactly 50 damage when you attack a Pokemon X. That brings Mega Brave up to 320 damage.
Boom. 320,
Right.
which is exactly the magic number you need to one-shot a Dragapult X. It is so perfectly calculated.
It really is beautiful math.
If we bring it back to a real-world analogy, it's like a highly aggressive chess match. Your Soul Rock and Lunatone are your pawns. They only give up a single prize card if they get knocked out. You send them into the middle of the board just to distract and annoy the opponent, forcing them to make awkward trades.
Right, they're distracted.
Meanwhile, your 340 HP Mega Lucario Queen is sitting safely in the back row, using the discard pile to get fully armed, just waiting for the perfect moment to step forward and completely wipe the board. It is aggressive, it is mathematical, and I'm so here for it.
It completely redefines the pacing of the entire game. Players who rely on slow setups are going to get run over. It's going to be an incredibly fascinating month for competitive play.
Well, we have covered so much ground today. From the indie box office to the Australian Gold Coast to pixel art crashes and the local card shop. Before we wrap up our cafe chat today, what is the big takeaway here? Connect the dots for us.
If we look closely at everything we discussed today, there is a very clear, undeniable pattern driving the entertainment industry right now. Look at the Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake, stripping parts out to resell the core game. Look at Gundam and How to Train Your Dragon live-action adaptations pulling from our favorite animated memories. Look at the entire trading card game space relying heavily on reprints of old tournament staples and bringing back mechanics like Mega Evolutions. Even the retro 80s cyberpunk pixel art style have replaced. Notice the engine driving all of this.
It's all just nostalgia.
Exactly. It's the monetization of nostalgia. The industry's looking backwards to figure out how to move forwards. So the question I really want to leave you, our listener, to chew on today is this. Are we living in an era where the safest, most profitable, and even most critically acclaimed thing you can do in entertainment is simply repackage our childhoods with better graphics, a live-action cast, and shiny holographic borders?
Oh, wow.
Are we actually innovating anymore, or are we just beautifully recycling?
Beautifully recycling. I love that phrasing so much. We will let you all mull that over with the rest of your coffee. That is all the time we have for today's deep dive. We want to thank you so much for pulling up a chair and joining us at the table for Casutalks.
It was a great chat today.
Make sure you come back tomorrow because the news never stops and we have even more deep dives coming your way.
Please do like and share this deep dive with your friends if you enjoyed the conversation. It really helps us out.
And crucially, we want to hear from you. Head down to the comments right now and leave us a funny word or phrase related to any of the news items we discussed today. Give us your best Aura Farm jokes, your worst pirate puns, or tell us what you pack in your Xbox Series S backpack.
Ah, yes, let's see those backpack lists.
Whatever you've got, put it in the comments. Until next time, stay curious, keep playing, and we will see you tomorrow on Casutalks. Goodbye.
Take care, everyone.
Yep.